Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek TV at Gen Con 2015. I'm sitting down again with Tony Sarabriani of USAopoly Games, and you have brought us Nefarious, the mad scientist game!
Yes, this is one of our newest releases here at Gen Con 2015, and it's one of my new favorite games. As many of you may know, it's a reprint and a refresh and a revitalization of a game that came out a number of years ago. That had a very limited print run, and people loved the game but couldn't find it anywhere. So it sort of sat dormant for a little while, and we were lucky enough to be the publisher for the North American market, who got to be the manufacturer and distributor for it.
And I think part of the reason why people liked it so much is it's a Donald X game. For those of you who might be familiar with the other games that he's done, he definitely has a reputation for being a game designer that's very quick, very engaging, things that really hook you and leave you wanting to play again.
Yeah,
so this definitely lives up to that standard.
And giving you enough choices that you feel like you're actually directing your game experience as well as what's happening around the table. So the fact that it had been out on the market previously, it's a Donald X game, the mechanic is really fun, it's brand new artwork. This may feel like a little bit strange of a game to come from USAopoly, but because of all of those things and how passionate those of us who love the game are about it, and the experience at the Gen Con floor here, it's clearly a home run for us. We love it. And we're excited to be the caretakers of it here in the States.
Well, and let's just give a quick overview maybe for those who haven't played it. It's been a number of years. You're right, it was a little bit difficult to find. So what are we trying to accomplish in Nefarious?
All right, 2 to 6 mad scientists are looking to take over the world through nefarious means. They are going to be sending spies out to spy on the other scientists in the game in order to learn some information about what they're up to, so that you can be the first scientist to build enough crazy inventions in order to take over the world by collecting 20 victory points first.
Because that is always how we determine who takes over the world.
That's right.
And
Who's got the coolest stuff?
And you know, I gotta say, because one of the things I love best about this game is that if 2 of you in the same turn cross 20 points and you tie, there are no ties.
The game continues.
The game, you play another round until you break that tie. I love that little detail. That you can't have tied world domination.
I mean,
absolutely not.
Never would happen. I mean, mad scientists are always trying to one-up one another, right? Us evil mad scientists are out there trying to conspire to be the best on the block, as it were.
All right, so what are we doing in a turn?
All right, so it's a simultaneous action game. So you're going to have 4 actions you can choose from. You're going to espionage, you're going to invent, you're going to do some research, or you're going to work.
And everybody has these same 4 options.
And everybody has the same 4 options. So the beautiful thing about the game is, regardless of what plot twist cards are out, and I'll explain those in a minute, the same 4 actions remain the same. So when you're going to instill your espionage, you're going to draft one of your secret spies, and you're going to place him on one of the 4 quadrants on the board that correlate to one of the 4 actions that your other spies can take. The reason you're going to place him in one or more particular locations is because when your left and right neighbor choose the location where you have a spy, you earn some money from the bank. So your spies are out there doing their work and they're feeding you information. In this case, it's the information of cash, which is going to help you to build inventions. So,
speaking of inventions,
if you're not going to choose the espionage action, you may choose to invent. If you're going to choose invent, you're going to choose one of the invention cards out of your hand, and you're going to build it on your turn. So you would put it out in front of you, you would pay for cash into the bank.
Because it costs money to
It's expensive to build
make dreams happen.
Yeah, you're actualizing your dreams. You got to go through all sorts of testing and patenting and all that, so you got to pay for it. But there are some inventions that have sub-actions on them. But more importantly, it costs you whatever is in the upper left. Your victory points are in the lower left.
Yeah, I'll leave one out here in the middle board. Oh, and it's my favorite cat. My favorite card of all time, the Buttered Cat Array.
Couldn't have planned that any better. So you'll notice that there are a couple of cards in here that don't cost you anything, and they don't have any sub-actions that happen to them. You just potentially get to have a nice little, sneak an invention in there. But most inventions do have these sub-actions. And sometimes they happen to the active player.
Here, we'll put yours out. So there's one that would happen to the person who plays it.
Right, and some of them would happen to the active player, and then the red arrows mean it happens to all other players. So in this case, the active player would have to remove one of their spies from the game board, and then all other players would have to do the same. So the way in which the actions are resolved is that if multiple people are doing the same action of inventing, everybody pays for their invention, they resolve for what happens to them first, and then you go around the table, your action happening to all other players one at a time around the table. And that's important because there may be multiple people doing these kinds of actions and impact, and that may affect what cash you have on hand, what cards you have in hand. So,
well, and these only happen once, so it's not like you have a lot to keep track of.
Right.
Now, so that's a fabulous leading question. How do I get more invention cards?
Well, there are multiple ways. One, as you can see, you could get an invention card by building an invention. Another one could be is if you chose the action of research, because just like a mad scientist, you're hard at work in your lab, and what are you doing? You're working, you're punching in, you're punching out, but you're also discovering new things. And when you discover new things, you get to draw a new invention card into your hand. And because you're at work, you get to choose to take 2 coins from the bank.
It's funny that you just mentioned work.
Because
the
last thing that you can choose to do is work. And when you choose to do work, you're punching in and punching out. You're doing the hard work of a mad scientist, and you're getting paid. You're collecting 4 coins from the bank. And that's essentially the base mechanic. You're choosing one of the 4 actions. You're doing what that action says. And then you're building up enough cash so that you can build inventions out of your hand. And then again, the first player to reach 20 victory points is the winner. Now,
I was just going to say, you had mentioned some twist cards
I did mention that there may be a twist or 2 that can affect the strategy in which you place your spies on the board, or the choice or order of which you're taking your actions. So in this case, if we were playing this game, right now the 2 actions we have out are recycling. When you play an invention, you draw a card afterwards. So there's another potential way of actually getting more inventions into your hand. The academic funding is, at the start of each turn, if you have no inventions out in front of you, you gain 2 coins. What's great about that is you could potentially not build in the first couple of rounds, gaining some cash. But the moment you hit that first invention on the table, that twist does not affect you.
And these 2 happen to be unique to our little sample game here. We have a whole pile here.
There are 36 to choose from, so there are many, many replayable options here. And the great thing about the game is once you get this base mechanic down, you can finish a game in 15 to 20 minutes and then throw out a couple of new twist cards and play the game all over again. And your experience, although you're choosing the same type of actions, is going to be completely different because the strategy in which you need to win changes.
Oh, and I would definitely say there's some twists that'll make the game even shorter. There are some that'll definitely make it longer, that will intentionally unbalance some of these, that make for a really radically different playing experience from one game to the next, which was one of my favorite twists
in the game
so
experience.
Appropriately named.
Yes.
Well, Tony, I'm so glad that this has made it back out onto the market. I think this has really been one of my favorite games for the last couple of years as well. So we're happy that you were able to show us the new, refreshed, and fabulous Nefarious.
Come hatch some evil plans with us.